Hey, Tribe Builders, this is Tanya Rooney, and I am with a guest today that I'm super excited for you to hear his story, obviously, because he's clearly got a good community, otherwise he probably wouldn't be on here. I met this man in another group, a seven-figure flipping group, which is another mastermind, and it seems to me that I've met a lot of people out of there, and it's because they had a really good community. There was a lot of people that wanted to join. There was a lot of information in there, and because of that, I've made a ton of friends off of this. And it always surprises me when I ask somebody how the heck I met him, because honestly, 7 times out of 10, it's seven-figure flipping. So I'm really excited to have Mike Seidl on today. And Mike, hi, how's it going?
It's going fantastic. I definitely remember meeting you in seven-figure flipping, and I remember being on the accountability group, and we had a group of people in there that weren't afraid to express themselves vocally, and it was just a blast getting on the call. I remember it was during the pandemic, and you've always stuck in my head. And I remember you sent me a word when you don't have one to give anymore, so I've got that right here on my monitor.
Yes, I love that. Oh man. So Mike is actually talking about I did a year of thanks. So every single day I wrote a thank you card to people, and Mike got in my crosshairs, so I had to send him something. And a lot of times when I did that, I actually sent like a little thing so people would be reminded that if they had no other fucks to give, I had one more fuck to give for them, and they could use it as they needed. And I love it because so many people tell me where they have that, or they'll point it out in their background or something. So awesome. So great. So, Mike, tell the people that don't know anything about you, because, I'm on chapter 7 with you. I know a lot about you. So tell people what you got going on, what kind of business you're in, just all that good stuff.
Well, this is my third business, and I am a private money lender, and I am a direct private money lender. So what that means is I don't have institutional money. I don't have bank lines of credit. I use a fair amount of my own capital and that of some friends and family and other people that have come out of the woodwork that want to truly invest passively. And I put their money on the street with them in different real estate deals based on how I vet the deal and comfortable with the operator. I actually had somebody call me the other day, one of my largest investors, and she wanted to thank me for all the freedom that they have. And I was kind of confused. I said, yeah, but you're retired. She said, yeah, but we had our money invested in other things, and we've given you the bulk of it because I work 15 minutes a month on the investments. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, I'm a bookkeeper, so I check everything. She said, on the 15th of the month, I get our wire, and suddenly there's $40,000 to $50,000 sitting in my account, and I did nothing except 15 minutes worth of work. So thank you for my time freedom. I'm a happy camper.
That's so amazing. Okay, but I know there's more story that goes with that. How on earth did you get money? Did you come from money, Mike? Like, how did you get money to even lend that this could work?
Yeah, fuck no. All right, I'll try not to go into too far into the weeds, but did I come from money? No. My dad left when I was 5. And my mother brought up 6 kids by herself. She owned a little restaurant selling hot dogs and hamburgers. I can name 15, 20 people I grew up with that are dead in jail or have been in jail. I was called retarded by my 10th grade biology teacher in front of the class. And I went to a community college before ultimately transferring to NYU. And I was a C student. I did well at community college, and then I went to NYU and went right back to being average again. So I guess that's where I'm comfortable. So my first business, I happened to be working. I used to counsel sexually abused kids, and I met my former business partner there. And from working with the kids, I was working in a psychiatric hospital as a mental health worker. And he came across this franchise for medical alert systems, push a button, get an ambulance. That was way back in the Ice Age, back in 1987. So he said we should have this guy come over. I've always wanted to start a business. You talked about it. Guy came over, it was a scam franchise, but we liked the concept. So we ultimately we found a manufacturer for the equipment, and it was medical alert, push a button, get an ambulance. We did that for 10 years. After 10 years, a public company came calling, and they wanted to buy us. We had several thousand customers in 15 states. It took about a year to finally go through the whole process because it's a public company. All the disclosures are very, very challenging. And we had to have our books audited and so on. So we sold to them. I took 5 years off, 16 months of which was driving around the U.S. in a motorhome. Between the motorhome and the car, we did 39 states. We did 56,000 miles between the two vehicles
Oh,
combined. Oh, yeah, we went all the way up to
cool.
Alaska and everything. So um, during that time, once I sold the business, I was an economics major. I hired a financial advisor who had graduated from Harvard in economics. And while he had the bulk of the decisions or thoughts of what I should do, I had a little input there. And I did very well in the stock market. Started my second company was in construction, and we worked on it was property damage. So if you have fire, water, vehicle impact, I built that over 13 years. We did about between 250 and 300 houses a year that we repaired
Wow.
from fire and so on and so forth. Sold that in 2017, and I thought, well, wait a minute, I can do 25 to 30 custom repair jobs a year. Well, I can flip houses. I can do this with my eyes closed because it's an assembly line. It's a system, and I'm a systems and operations guy. I thought, well, that'd be easy. And then I happened to get on the phone with somebody who has $100 million of his own money on the street. And he said to me, I spoke with him for about 45 minutes. He was a friend of a friend. And after I got off the phone with him, I called the guy who was going to be my partner, who was going to be the front end, and I was going to be the systems, the back end and get the stuff done. After getting off the phone with that guy, with the guy with the money, I called my 2B business partner and said, yeah, Josh, I'm out, man. And he said, what do you mean you're out? We've set all this stuff up. We're about to start going. I said, yeah, no, fuck that. I spoke with X, and he told me about with the amount of capital that I have available, that I should not flip any houses at all. I should just lend. It's so much easier. And I like to travel. So I said, yeah, fuck this. I'm out, Josh. You can have everything. Here you go. I'm out. Came out, said to Lois, I'm not going to flip houses. I'm just going to lend. And she laughed and she said, it's about fucking time. I told you that 2 years ago. What are you doing?
So she knew better.
Yeah. So I started lending in 17. I was doing some, handshake loans. And then in 19, I sold a lot of money, a lot of stock, and went in all for it in 19 and started having people come to me with money in 2021 saying, hey, can you put money on the street with me? I got one guy who gave me $8 million to put on the street for him.
Wow. So, okay, two things then. First, how do you find the people you're going to give money to? Because I feel like I have this conversation. I've had multiple conversations with you, but I feel like it's really important for people to know that when they're getting money from lenders, like they need to already know who they are. They need to trust them, stuff like that. And there's a flip side to that. Obviously, you need to know the property. You kind of need to know the person because yes, you can lend on a property, but you need to make sure that it's still a person that's going to be doing it because you're not in the business necessarily to do foreclosures because they're a pain in the ass. Tell me, how are you finding these people that you're lending money to, especially if you're doing it full time?
I have been members of different masterminds, and I've been to a number of groups, a number of events. So I have built up my network, and people will just say, oh, if you need money fast, call Mike. And invariably, what I want people to do is to dig the well before they're thirsty. If you come to me today and you need a loan today because somebody else bugged out on you, I'm not going to be your guy because I don't know you.
Yeah.
By the same token, if we have an existing relationship, see, for me, many lenders will tell you that they're focused on the property. For me, the property is only about 10% of it. I really don't care about the property. What I care about is the person. Because of my background working with kids in the psychiatric hospital, and I ran a group home for mentally disabled men, developmentally disabled men, I read people very well. So I am focused on the person because good people don't bring bad projects to the table. And good operators don't bring bad projects to the table. Now, do we run our numbers? Of course we do. We do the underwriting. You got to trust but verify. But if you have a good person who you actually know, and you know them not just because you've seen them on Facebook and you're following them, you've broken bread with them, you've had conversations, you send inappropriate jokes back and forth on WhatsApp. You have a relationship with these people, you get a read. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm focused on, because underwriting a deal is easy. You can underwrite a deal in minutes,
Mm-hmm.
but what's on paper doesn't tell you what the person's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people that are having issues with loans and they're on the phone with me. They're saying, listen, I'm not going to be able to refi this out right now because interest rates went up. Can we extend the loan for 90 days? Absolutely. You're paying your interest
Mm-hmm.
payment every month. You called me. But if you have somebody that you have to call them to let them know that the payment is late, then you know you have a problem.
Yeah.
So I'm very focused on the individual on the property. When it comes to digging a well, when it comes to private lenders and direct
Mm-hmm.
lenders, I find relationships are very important for many of the people in my network. Some are just focused on the property. I'm not. So I can give you an example of 2 loans that I did. One guy who I'd known for 3 years, met him through a mastermind, and come to find out he grew up 40 miles from where I grew up. Um, we we kept our relationship going, and then he called me one day and said, listen, and he's a multifamily guy with a couple thousand doors. He called me
Mm-hmm.
up and he said, listen, I had $4 million evaporate last night. My closing
Oh.
is today at 5 o'clock, and I have $1 million that went hard. I need $2 million by 5 o'clock. Can you help me? I'll take anything you have. I don't care if it's $50, but I can't lose this $1 million. I said, sure, sit tight for a minute. Let me check my spreadsheet. He said, well, let me make some phone calls while you're doing that because I don't have any time to waste. I said, dude, sit tight. Let me look at my spreadsheet. You got me on the phone right now at 7 o'clock in the morning and I'm at an event. Give me a minute. So I looked at my spreadsheet. I said, I got you covered for the $2 million. He said, you can cover me for $2 million. You're not bullshitting me. I got you covered for the $2 million. I just need to make a phone call because I don't have all the capital. One of my investors does. He wants some bigger deals. I have a fair amount of it. Let me double check that he's on. You know what? Hold on a second. Let me text him. Yep, we're in. What I'll do, let me get my attorney on the line and we'll get you taken care of by 5 o'clock. No later than 5, I'll aim for 3 o'clock. Well,
Mm-hmm.
he had $2 million in 6 hours. My attorney, I got on the phone with him and he said, this is not a good idea. I'm going to send you a release form that I told you not to do this. And I said, you can send me the release form all you want. I know this guy. I know he's
Mm-hmm.
worth 8 figures. He's a friend of mine. I sent him
Mm-hmm.
tickets to a Red Sox game because I wasn't going to be in town. Do whatever you got to do for the disclaimer, but get on the phone with his attorney. And I was respectful to my attorney. He's a good guy. We can speak direct to each other. I said, just
Mm-hmm.
get on the phone with his attorney. Do everything you can. I've got I've got the folder. I'll send you a link to it. Knock yourself out, but he'll get the money. And he had $2 million in 6 hours. He paid me back. It was going to be a 3-month loan. He paid me back in 10 weeks. That is all based on a relationship.
Yeah, and trust that he built, trust that you built through the relationship this whole entire time.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So, and I do small loans too, but that just happened to be an extreme example. But my point I'm trying to make is it's the person, you've got to have a relationship.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to tell a quick story about a relationship that I've had as well. Like it's something similar that I thought I had lending for, I mean, probably my 3rd flip ever. Like it was a while ago, and I was still building my book of network and stuff like that. So I just happened to text a guy that was in 7-figure at the time and said like, hey, you know anybody that can do like a $200,000 loan like tomorrow? Because this guy just totally deeped out on me and I have no idea what to do. And I thought I had the money that whole entire time. And he connected me with a guy. I hopped on a phone call with somebody that afternoon who didn't know me, but knew the middle person that was able to vouch for me. And obviously I paid for it. I'm okay with it because I still made money. I still made plenty of money on the deal. I paid a little bit more for it, but I mean, I met that guy on Wednesday. I had to close on Friday. I had money Thursday night for this deal.
Sure.
And that's the power of knowing people. Like that's the power of your network and, you know, creating these relationships and having good relationships and why it matters and why we don't burn bridges and, you know, why we don't just write people off if they're still a good person. I guess some people deserve to be written off.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. Yeah. Some people need to get out of your network. Yeah. I've got people in my network that I know very well. And what will happen is if they refer somebody to me, I know that's a solid person. And
Mhm.
if I get referred by somebody that I don't know as well, I may call somebody in that market. And
Mhm.
if I get one of the people that are close to me in that market, and I'll say, what do you think about this person? If they say, yeah, don't do it, I'm out.
Mhm.
If they say, yeah, good guy, don't worry about it, then I do it. I've got a guy in Ohio
Yeah.
who needed 760 grand. He was in trouble. And somebody in my network, I called and I said, what do you think of this guy? He said, oh, as solid as they come, just do the loan. And I said, okay. And then I called somebody else who was happened to be in the area. I said, can you go look at this property? Have you got any time? He said, yeah, when do you need it? I said, like in 2 days. He said, yeah, I'll look at it on the way home today. I know the place, but yeah, I'll run through it. He ran through it. The guy had his low 760 grand in a couple days.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that stuff, like,
network, man.
I I feel like the networking thing, like, some people just are blind to it, and I think the most successful people, though, have a network that's worth something because these are the kinds of things that do matter, especially in real estate. Obviously, we're talking about real estate more than anything, but, like, these kinds of phone calls, like, you need advice, like, you're the guy that I go to for advice, and, some of it is money advice or lending, like, how should I do this or what should I do? And I think
Mm-hmm.
all of those conversations are very valuable to have because like we're just some of this stuff you're making it up. Like if you've never borrowed $1 million from somebody, well, how do you do it? Well, the first step is just to, try. And I feel like that's sometimes people get caught up in that first step. But like all of these things just keep going and keep like I mean everything, all these skills just build on each other, especially in business. So
Yeah,
love it.
I heard a term from a guy, and it's relationship capital. And
Yeah.
the way he
Hmm.
explained it was, you can't. Most of us, me included, can't walk into a bar butt naked and expect to pick somebody up. It's not going to work. You have to build the relationship over time. So if you go to somebody and you don't know them and you say, hey, I need $3 million, which I've had happen, and I need it in 5 days. Can you help me out? No, I don't know you. That's a lot of money. By the same token, I had a friend of mine give me a call one time, and his other private lender was on a flight to Europe, and the money never showed up to closing. So Title called him at 4 o'clock and said, hey, you got 30 minutes to get us the money here. It's not here. So he
Oof.
started dialing for dollars. He got a hold of me about 4:10, and he said, hey, I need 130 grand. You don't have time to do paperwork. I need it in 20 minutes. Either you can lend it to me or you can't. I got to call somebody else if you can't. And I said, yeah, I got it available. And I was walking in New York City from Greenwich Village down to Little Italy, wiring this guy 130 grand on a handshake. And he
Yeah.
said, well, we
Yep.
can do paperwork tomorrow. And I said, yeah, we can't. I'm on vacation. I don't do paperwork on vacation. I'll get in touch with you next week when I get back to the office. And he had 130 grand on a handshake. Now, that I didn't use investor capital. I used my own money and stuff like
Mhm.
that. I will only use my own money. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's all relationships.
Well, and this actually brings a really good question. How like so you like even you saying this kind of stuff, you are a lot of people's dream. Like truly, like I know that you're like I think of you even, and it's not. I think I've asked you for money once. I don't even know, but I like think of you and like these comments, and it makes me salivate. I'm like, oh my god, I love people like you. How do people find someone like you? Because you go to events, you do stuff. How does somebody find someone like you?
Okay, I'm going to tell you what I do.
Mhm.
If I go to an
Perfect.
event, I'm looking for the guy or gal who is sitting back on the first day or so. I'm looking for the person who's sitting back watching everybody. And they may be dressed in a very goofy outfit of some sort. They
Wind
may have,
jacket.
yeah, whatever. But you're looking for the person who's not looking to make the connections, quick connections. There's one guy I know who I've been to 3 events. I've met him 3 different times, and he still has no idea who I am. And it could be that I'm not memorable, so I get that. That's okay. But the point is, he's just there to meet everybody and get business cards. I don't do that.
Mm.
I'm looking for the guy who's looking to build relationships and have conversations with me. And when we're talking, they're not looking all over the room to see who else is in the room. Um, those are things that I look for when I'm going to meet people at different events, because I go to events where there's a lot of money in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went to one recently, and I've had several people come forward. We have calls this week and next week that want to put money on the street with me, or want me to put it on the street for them. So it's a matter of looking for the person who is engaged in conversations, and they start, they'll start talking to you. Generally speaking, people who really have money don't care. They're not looking to impress anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's the guy I want to talk to. The guy who I have $8 million of his, he drives a pickup truck. He wears a muscle shirt or a wife beater, whatever you want to call it, sweatpants, and he has a gun rack. He has two guns. He keeps two guns in his truck when he drives around all the time. That's just what he. I live out west. It's common here, but you would have no idea this guy had a dime unless you knew he had a dime. He does have a nice truck. But yeah, you're looking for the person who's quiet, who's just watching everything that's going on. And like I said, I look for what some would call the goofiest person in the room, the one that no one's talking to. I go right up to that person and have a conversation every single time.
That's awesome. And what kinds of events are you going to? Like, or talk about the events that you're going to.
I do go to a fair amount of, like I'll be going to BBCon because I like to be around and see what's going on. But you'd be surprised how much money is in that room, and people don't know who's got the money in the room because they're too focused on looking for the gurus. 9 times out of 10, your gurus are full of shit and they have no money. And I know this because I've had a number of them come to me to borrow money, and I can't lend money to them. They have none. They have no assets. They're just selling courses. So, so I go to a lot of real estate events, but I also happen to, how do I explain this? I fly first class. So when I'm sitting in the plane, 7 out of 10 times, some people get upgraded. 7 out of 10 times, the person on the side of me has money. And I just start a conversation with them. I had an attorney. I was flying from, where the hell was I? I was flying into Vegas. I was going from Phoenix to Vegas when I lived in Phoenix. Had an attorney sit on the side of me. He asked what I did. I just told him what I did. He gave me $500,000 to put on the street with him, like 2 months later.
So what does that conversation look like? So what's your elevator pitch? Will you give your elevator pitch?
Okay. So this is, I've got to be honest with you. I've told you, and you know me, I'm not a sales guy.
No, you're not.
I don't sell anything.
I love it. No.
I don't sell anything. People ask me what I do, and I don't want it to be any more than the size of a back of a napkin, and let them ask questions. Because I don't want to verbally vomit on them. I don't want to fire hose them. I want them to ask the questions that they want to ask. So it's like Amazon. Go in and look for what you want. Don't let me show you what I think you want. I don't care what I think you want. You tell me what you want. So he asked what I did. I said, well, I have a community of people, partners, and we lend money to people who fix and flip single-family homes.
Cool. Yeah, and that's vague enough that they start asking lots of questions.
No, invariably, why don't they go to a bank? They can't, because many of these houses won't pass a 4-point inspection, or they need to close quickly. How quickly can you close? Well, if title's done, I can close same day. And I let them ask their questions. And then many of the people are going to ask, well, how's my money protected? Well, we don't lend more than 70% of the ARV. Of the ultimate retail value of the property. I don't say ARV. I try not to use industry jargon. And they say, oh, well, that's interesting. Well, what if it has a fire? Oh, well, we're named on the insurance policy as the lost payee. And this guy's a lawyer. Well, what if there's a problem with title? What if there's a problem with title? Well, we get a title policy for the lender. And also what we do, Mr. Attorney, is we get it to 125% of the value. Well, why is that? Well, because the title policy only covers the amount of my loan. I need legal expenses covered, so I do 125% of the loan. Well, I never thought of that. You should have come to me.
You just taught him something, and he appreciates that in ways that obviously fast forward 2 months. So how did the 2 months look like? I mean, so you guys exchanged numbers, and then you guys just talked frequently, or did he just all of a sudden call you out of the blue and say, hey, Mike, I want to give you some money?
Well, what happened was a couple weeks went by. He said, I got a couple more questions for you on this private lending thing. Can we hop on a call? Sure. When do you want to hop on a call? Right now. Well, I'm driving in my truck, but if you don't mind some background noise, let's talk. So what happened? So then he asked me a few questions, and I said, and I ended it with, okay, if you got any other questions, let me know. And then he said, well, I think I have some money I want to put on the street. And I said, great. He said, what's your paperwork process, etc. I said, well, I'll send you over the paperwork, but I don't have any loans right now. I don't need your money. And that always blows people away. You can't be desperate. You can't be deal desperate. You can't be money desperate. So whether I had a deal or not, the answer is I don't have a deal available. Because people who have money want exclusivity. They want you to jump when you tell them, when they say jump. When you tell them, I don't need your money right now. I don't have any deals available. I've got enough capital right now. So if you're interested, you need to let know how much you want to lend. And if it's a small amount at first, that's fine. I will begin speaking with people in my network who I haven't lent to yet to see what their needs are coming up. And when one comes up, if I don't have one of my other people that I've already got in my network available, then I'll give you a buzz and we'll see if it's a fit. And then he actually said to me, well, on the first one we do, I'd like to just give you 500 and leave it with you. I said, oh, no. I'm not going to do that. The loans are anywhere from 150 to 300 on average, because I'm not going to tell him I do $2 million loans. That'll blow his mind. So I tell him I do, 150, 300. But what I want to do is I want one loan to go full cycle. I want you to be comfortable with the process. And I got to be honest with you, and I'm not going to tell you his name. Let's just say Bob for sake of discussion. Bob, I want to make sure I can work with you too. Because if we're not a fit, I don't want your money. I'm going to tell you to go somewhere else because there just isn't a fit. And he kind of got caught off guard by that. He said, well, I'm not used to people telling me that. I said, dude, I got money. I don't need your money. I'm doing this for something else. It isn't for me. So we'll see if there's a fit. If it works on both sides, on the 15th of the month, you will get your payment. I've never missed a payment in 7 years. It just is what it is. I pick good people. I've been lucky, knock on wood. I haven't had a foreclosure yet. But I'd never take their money up front. You got to be chilled about the whole thing. If you're sitting on a plan, because I've had people do it, somebody will call me and they'll say, hey, I heard from so-and-so and I want $1 million today. Back off. There's no conversation. They know nothing about me. It's all they're looking for is, I want a loan and I'll say whatever I have to do to get it. And automatically my antenna goes up and I'm not believing 90% of what they're saying.
Yeah, you're out. Yeah, I think anybody that knows you knows you're a relationship guy, and I think that's important as well. So, okay, can you tell me one of the reasons that I asked you to be on is because I know that you build obviously you built your own investor community. You have and that means the people that are in your lending community and then the people that you lend to. Tell me what you think of masterminds, and it seems like you're in a lot of groups because you travel a lot because of the lifestyle that you get to live because of this business you built. So what are the groups that you are in? What does it look like? Why do you join them? Why do you even bother?
Okay. In groups, I will generally make a maximum of a 1-year commitment up front. I generally want groups that don't charge you the first 1 full year up front. I want to pay monthly because it requires them to continually perform if they know you can leave at any time. I find that groups that want their money up front are not as good as groups that let you pay monthly. Because once they get your money, well, now they got you. What are you going to do? It's kind of like a bank. The relationship is sticky. I look for groups where the leader of the group is still doing whatever it is that they're talking about. Yeah. And I have a strong preference for people that started in business before 2008. The reason for that is that you could throw a dart at a board starting in about 2009 and make money in the stock market. You could have done anything you wanted in real estate, and unless you were completely incompetent, you could have made a lot of money. I want someone who's been through a recession or two. I want someone that's had their teeth kicked in. And I want somebody, like I said, they've been in it. I want someone who's going to be direct, who isn't trying to just have me come in to be part of deals that I'm in. I want somebody who is there to give me information. And if I need to bring them into a deal, I bring them in. And I need them available to me if I need them available to me. So any mastermind that I'm in or have been in, where I've stayed, I get their cell phone number. And I got to be honest with you, there's only one guy since I started joining masterminds in 2017 that I ever called when it wasn't a scheduled call, or, send him a text in advance. I was in a situation that I needed an answer right away, and he jumped on the call with me. So I want real people doing real stuff, and I don't ultimately care what the cost of the mastermind is. If it's a $100 a month mastermind, I'm not going in it. It's not going to happen. Yeah, because that's the type of people that it draws. I have masterminds that I'm in that, 25, 30, 40 grand a year. I love those. I found one that's 100 grand a year that I'm considering, because what it does is it isn't who's in the group, it's who's not in the group. And that's what I'm paying for.
It weeds out those people.
Yeah. And it's just a matter of people who say, what's the cost? I'm out. Now, do we all have to look out for cost? Absolutely. Let me tell you what the value is first before you decide whether it's worth or not. If it's worth anything or not. If I tell you that join this mastermind is 25 grand and that's where you stop, then we're done. Yeah. The masterminds that I'm in and that I've been in for a period of time, they're all worth a minimum of 6 figures a year to me. But I've got one now that's worth $1 million a year to me. Easy.
Yeah, and this is all because of the connections within the group, right?
It's the connections in the group and the information. When I sold a company to a public company. I built another company, like I said, that, we did restoration work, doing 250 to 300 jobs a year. That's an operation. I've got a little bit of game, but you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. I need somebody who can step back and say, no, that's not working. And this is why you've got this roadblock. And you're just not seeing it because you're so blinded and you got your focus on. I need someone to sometimes step on the outside and say, no, this is what you're missing. And that's what I need.
Gotcha. So you feel like you get that from those groups of like what you just explained to me as a hot seat, and and that's just like I guess some jargon that I would say. It means that there's other people maybe in the group, maybe you're meeting with them weekly or monthly or whatever it looks like, but they know what's going on in your business, and you're maybe explaining the problem, and then they're saying, "Oh, but have you thought about this?" Or, "Mike, I know you talked about this 2 months ago, and is this still the problem? Is this actually what's helping?" Like, is that the kinds of conversations you're talking about?
Absolutely. Yep. They'll just say, you're totally missing it. I went to a group this weekend, last weekend, and somebody was sitting in the room. There were 7 of us sitting in the room, and he's coming across with all these problems. And there was a guy sitting on the side of me that had a business 5 times his size. And this guy's in the same industry. People at the table were predominantly different industries. These guys happen to be in the same industry. So this guy was in X state. So I said, for example, actually what I said was, and I'll make up the name of the state. Well, it's interesting that that's your problem, because I just met a guy from Minnesota who has a business 3 times your size. And I suspect if you called and said to him, I want to bend your ear, he wouldn't take your call. But I bet if you said to him, I want to Venmo you $10,000 and I have a question, I need an hour of your time, I'll bet you he'd take that call.
Yeah.
And he just kind of looked at me, and the other guy looked at me, and the other guy laughed because he knew what I meant. And that guy sat there for a minute and said, I've never thought of doing that. This guy's 6 times your size. What you're telling me sounds like a simple fix. And if you were listening, he actually said that he does what it is that you want to do. Give him $10,000, get on the call with him, or go out tonight and get him drunk and take photos. So now you have, then you call when he's not drunk.
All drunk. Oh, that's funny.
No, but if you take photos, then you have blackmail and he's your bitch for life. But the point is, I forget where I was going with this, but yeah, it's all the connections. It's being in the right rooms. It's asking the right questions and not asking somebody to do something for you for free. Bring value to the table. Don't ask. If
Yeah.
you ask, most of the people I know, if you ask if you can bend their ear, they say, no, it's broken. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a problem with the pick your brain. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
please don't. No,
Bend your
please
ear,
don't
pick
ask
your
me that.
brain. Yeah. And one of
Yeah.
the problems I have with that is because I built, and what's interesting is it's generally newbies or people that
Hmm.
haven't been in business very long or aren't very successful that ask that.
Hmm.
And it's going to sound obnoxious, but I'm going to fire hose you with information and I can only go at a certain level. I can't tell you that you need to hire a VA and this is how you set up your LLC. I'm not your guy.
Hmm.
My head will explode. I can't talk in those terms anymore because
Hmm.
there are so many parts and pieces that I could potentially tell you to get to where I am. So
Hmm.
when somebody says that, I know they're new. If somebody
Hmm.
contacts me and says, hey, so and so gave touch base, so and so knows you. They said to give you a call and you could help me out in 15 minutes.
Hmm.
Have you got 15 minutes while you're driving your car when you're not busy? Well, you were referred by somebody else. So, okay, I'll listen to that. If somebody
Hmm.
calls and says, I got 10 grand, I need an hour of your time. I'll give them an hour for
Hmm.
10 grand.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you're giving, you're not just taking,
Yeah.
and build a
Or
relationship.
when somebody asks you like some basic things and it's like, is that really what you want to do with my time? Like, I promise, like, I can answer the very specific thing that you have if you just ask the question. I don't
Yeah.
really like to have to deal with the niceties in the front end. It's like, if you want to know more about somebody, go and research them. Literally go on the internet and put in their name and see what you can find out. And then just ask them the specific questions you need answered.
Yeah, just ask the question. And when you ask the question, be prepared for the answer.
Hmm.
if you
Yeah, you
if you
might not love
ask
it.
me, I had somebody who's in my network, and she said to me that she was thinking of hiring. She was looking for an executive assistant, and her partner wanted to hire his new girlfriend.
No,
She she had somebody that had years of experience, and who should I hire? And I'm
the
like,
answer's obvious.
Mary, why are you asking me that question? Well, because I want your feedback. Well, you know what my feedback's going to be. You're focused on the drama. I'm focused on the data. You can't
Uh-huh.
hire her because
Hmm.
if they break up, now she walks. You're hiring her
Yeah.
because she's your partner's new girlfriend. Well, in 6 months from now, he could have another new girlfriend. Absolutely
Hmm.
not. Hire the other person. This is a dumb conversation. I'm busy. And I say that jokingly. I know her well enough to say that. And she said,
Of
yeah, I
course.
guess I just needed to hear that. Absolutely. And then in the future, I may have a dumb question I'm going to ask her, and she'll say, yeah, that's a dumb question. Don't call me for stuff like that. You know the answer.
I think this is a really good point that you're making, though, is that you need to get comfortable enough with people to have these kinds of questions. Because sometimes it is really glaring. That's like, yeah, I should probably do this, but you just need to call somebody and just like you just have to get it from their perspective. And I think that's important that people build their network that way. That they find those people and they add them in, like as they see fit, I guess.
Yeah,
um,
there's a thing. Friends tell friends things that they don't want to hear. That's a real friend. And to me, it's
yeah.
unethical. If somebody says to me, uh, you know, um, if I were to say to one of my friends, should I play basketball? Should I try and obviously I'm too old now, but should I try to play basketball professionally? If they said, oh yeah, you have some skills, well, they're not my friend. I had no skills at basketball. I threw up bricks and couldn't hit the damn backboard. I was just awful at it. But nonetheless, if you have friends that are going to not tell you the truth, like why am I not doing X? Why am I able to achieve that goal? Well, because you're doing Y, and that's stopping you from doing X. Well, what do you
Hmm.
mean? No one's ever told me that. Well, you know,
Hmm.
you're sitting at the table, you're spitting out food when you're talking to people. I can't help you if no one's ever told you that before, and I don't know where that came from. But the point is, you've got to tell people things they don't want to hear. That's a real friend.
Yeah, no,
That's a real
I
advisor.
totally agree. Yeah, those are the kinds of people you need in your corner pretty constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so can you tell me then what's the most surprising thing you've found out of any of the communities you've joined? Like, I know you probably have a lot of them and that's kind of specific, but is there anything that you're just like, wow, never saw that coming? Like with a lesson or just a relationship?
I guess when I first started out, I was kind of focusing on people who are very well known in the industry.
Hmm.
The thing that surprises me most is many times the people who are the most talented are the people you've never heard about before.
Yeah.
They're in the background. That's the group you want to be with. Now, I'm not in a
Mm-hmm.
group with him. I don't know him, but I know of him. Many people in multifamily point to these gurus who are on stage,
Mm-hmm.
and they have no idea, and I may be pronouncing his last name wrong, so bear with me. Many people don't know who Albert Barris is,
Okay.
and they're in multifamily. How can
Mm-hmm.
you not know? The guy had 40,000 doors.
Wow.
40,000 doors. He's not on stage talking to anybody. He's
Mm-hmm.
not doing any masterminds. That's the guy you want to follow as best you can. He's out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, McKinley and Company, or McKinsey, it's McKinley and Company. He came across my radar because I started watching him and doing what I could to find articles on him. And all of these people in 2020, 2021 were buying all these multifamilies.
Mm-hmm.
And he sold 20,000 doors, many of which are on the I-4
Whoa.
corridor. So if he's selling and he's a buy and hold guy, he had properties that he had had for 30 years,
Mm-hmm.
and he's selling, I'm not buying multifamily.
Yeah.
I don't know what's
Yeah.
wrong, but if he sells, it's kind of like everybody talks about Warren Buffett. And what's Warren
Mm-hmm.
Buffett doing? You got to follow Warren Buffett. Okay. Well, if Warren Buffett is selling Apple stock, you probably want to sell it. If he's selling 20,000 doors, you probably don't want to be buying multifamily right now. And I know that there is a term in multifamily now, survive until 25. And I know because I'm in the lending space, and I know a number of people that had projections are not paying their pref payments anymore and haven't been for a
Mm-hmm.
while. And it's not a few, it's a lot. So
Yeah.
he's selling? Okay. So what I'm looking for is the guy that people don't know. Another
Yeah.
example, everybody knows Warren Buffett.
Mm-hmm.
How many people know Charlie Munger? Charlie Munger just died in the last 6
Yeah.
months. Charlie was his right-hand guy. Warren,
Mm-hmm.
in my humble opinion, is the face. Charlie was the smart guy that you wanted to talk to. He was the guy. He was really the guy. And then Warren Buffett. Let's go one step deeper. Let's go to Benjamin Graham. Benjamin Graham was Warren Buffett's mentor. And there are books about Benjamin Graham out there. So that's the guy you want to go to. Look for the guy that nobody knows. Look
Yeah,
for the guy
absolutely.
who's sitting in the corner dressed real goofy, or the gal. That's who I want to talk to. They're probably the
Yeah.
wealthiest people in the room. The person who comes driving up in a Lambo, 9 times out of 10, has no money.
I know. The Lambo thing, really, I'm
Yeah.
over it as well. Those aren't the people.
Yep.
I don't want those people that spend that kind of money either. So,
Yeah.
okay, tell me. All right, so I'm listening to you talk about all this stuff. You've already sold 2 pretty big companies. You lend money for other people. Why do you still work? Like, everybody in real estate is working just to not work anymore. So why on earth are you still doing this, Mike? Like, this doesn't make sense to me.
Well, on a personal level, I work because I took 5 years off when I was 33, and it's boring as fuck. You have to have a purpose. You have to have a reason to get up in the morning. You have to have, you've got to be able to grow. And if you don't have a have to every day, then I think you get lazy. And that's been my experience. So that's part of it. The other part of it is, as I said earlier, I worked at a home for sexually abused kids for a couple of years as a residential counselor. So what happens is when they turn 18, they what is called age out of foster care. So they age out of the system. And they get, that day is called Black Bag Day. It's called Black Bag Day because they give them a black trash bag to put all their stuff in and they walk out the door. That's it.
Yep.
So one can teach technical skills. I can teach someone how to underwrite a deal. I can teach somebody how to be an electrician. I can't, but one can be taught how to be an electrician. One can be taught how to fly a plane. Those are technical skills. What is extremely difficult to teach are the soft skills. And we as a society don't like mental health issues, and we don't acknowledge them. So how can I explain this? If you are on crutches and you have a cast on, people will show you some level of empathy. But if you're sitting in the corner and you're kind of doing this and you're stressed out and you've got something going on and you're lashing out at people all over the place, there's something going on in the mind that's similar to having a broken leg. So what I want to do is I want to fund and start a nonprofit for kids who age out of foster care. And what I want us to focus on is the soft skills. So I want to have a psychiatrist on staff so that they can understand medically what goes on in the brain and how when you get angry, you have the amygdala, which is back here somewhere, shoots a chemical. The prefrontal cortex, which is your higher reasoning, is not capable of working anymore, which is why you can't reason with somebody who's hysterical, because the chemical reaction in their brain is a survival reaction that's going on, and all they're looking to do is survive. You can't have a conversation with them. You and I are the same way. When we get angry, it makes no sense to have a conversation. You just need to sit them down and let the chemical leave their body. So I want them to work with psychiatrists. I want psychologists so that they can understand behavior patterns so that they can begin to recognize them. I also want to have, because I've been meditating for 26 years, partially because of the environment that I grew up in, I want them to focus on meditation, but not what is popular now, where people are going to chant and they're going to do all this stupid shit. It doesn't do anything. When you meditate in silence and you focus on the sensations that the body is feeling, because you have a sensation physically before you cognitively process what's going on. And by focusing on the sensation, they are able to recognize when they're starting to get triggered or their trauma is starting to replay. And I want them to be able to recognize that so that they can step back and see that process. How do I explain it? When your thoughts are very simply thoughts, you don't have to respond to them. Picture it as you're sitting on the side of a river and you see the water go by. You don't have to jump in. You can just sit back and let it go by and not affect you. And you can do the same thing with thoughts. So I want to work on that. I want them to work in banks. I want them to work in accounting firms. None of this classroom shit, because nobody learns anything in a classroom. You learn from doing. I want them to work with electricians. I want them to do those things as well, where they're getting hands-on. But the big thing that I want to work with is the mindset, so that they're understanding why they're feeling the way they're feeling, and they understand that, oh, wait a minute, there's a chemical reaction going on, and I need to sit back. And it takes a lot of practice.
Absolutely. So you want to create this like a foundation of some kind. When are you going to start doing it?
I have the framework of it. I don't have an exact date just yet. What I've done recently is, over the last year, actually 9 months or so, I have partnered with somebody. We're combining our lending companies, and we are actually going to start taking on a lot more capital. So that compressed considerably the timeline I have for starting this. So I can tell you that it was further out. It's going to happen much faster now, and I can answer that question better in the next 12 months.
Oh, that's really awesome. I honestly, I asked you that because I knew about this. You have told me about your want to do that. You've never explained it in depth though. And I think that's really an awesome way to do things, because you can still fund your lifestyle and you probably still have a chunk of money that's sitting there that could be done. Like you could use it for cooler things. So I think it's really fun to know that you're somebody out there that's going to put his money where his mouth is.
Yeah, I'm not flexing. We're having a conversation. I've been fine since I was 33 years old when I sold my company.
Yeah.
This I'm doing so that I have a legacy. Lois and I have been together 36 years. We have no kids. We're not married. We live in sin. And I want to leave a legacy. And that's what I want to do. And it's actually, the foundation will be her initials, LDB. So it's going to be the LDB Foundation. And we're going to work with kids who age out of foster care. So.
That's super cool. That's like I know about the foster care aging out. Like I've got friends that do foster care, and I think it's really fucking cool that somebody wants to care enough to do something about it. And that's the part where I say you put your money where your mouth is. Like you actually have action in ways that a lot of people do not. So I love watching that. Okay, so tell me, we're gonna wrap up here. Can you tell me though, Is there anything you're looking for right now?
I'm always looking for good borrowers and good investors.
Okay,
If you
and
got people that are
if
good borrowers that have experience that are good people, I'll
Mhm.
talk to them every day of the week.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, how would somebody find you if they wanted to ask you that?
It's funny. I didn't have a website. I don't have a website. My partner's
Mhm.
making one because he's a software engineer by training. So
Awesome.
they would just send me an email address, and
Okay.
it's Mike at RPI. Sorry, that's my other entity. My
Yeah.
partner laughs at me all the time. It's Mike at REI capitalguys.com.
Okay, capital with an O or capital with an A? C A
REI
P
cap
I T A
REI
L.
capital CAPITAL. Yep.
Yeah, sorry. Some people use that the other version of it. I don't know why they do. But
Yeah, it's just
other ways to get a hold of him is just to message me. Like, I love I love hearing from people that like comment on something that's happened in one of our podcasts. I like it when I get feedback. I get feedback every single time, and I like to share it with people. So if you need money for a flip and you've done a few flips and you need more money for flips, just give me a message, give me a call, and I'd be happy to put you in contact with Mike. And same with lenders, I'm assuming if somebody had some money and maybe wanted to figure out how they could lend it out, would you be a person they could talk to about that?
absolutely. I put money on the street all the time. I've spoken with a number of people that think they want to be lenders. I spend a few minutes going over my 110-point checklist that myself and my assistant go over, and they generally say, "Yeah,
Mhm.
screw this. I got a job already. Here you go."
just give you the money. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great. I really appreciate you sharing all the experience that you have and like why this is the kind of stuff that I talk about all the time is why tribe building is really important. It's important to have people like Mike in your group. You need to have somebody that can be honest with you, that can tell you just what's going on. They can like and then it's always good like I mean, we're obviously different aged and I think
Mhm.
having people that have been in the business longer is really really important because it doesn't mean like I don't know what the hell I'm doing at all, but it means that I would have somebody that can advise me better because I haven't sold three businesses or two businesses, but you can find people like Mike all over the place that will help you, that want to help you, tell you their experience. So any final thoughts, Mike?
For the people out there that are afraid to talk to somebody with experience, what I can tell you is I have never asked a question to somebody who had more experience than me in an area that laughed at me when I asked them the question. The people who
Yeah.
are going to laugh at you are the people that don't have an answer for you, and they're just trying to
Mhm.
make you think they do, and they really don't have an answer. So don't be afraid to talk to people and just be people. Don't BS them. Don't try and be clever. Just
Mhm.
have a conversation. They're just like you.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really, really good way to go out because it's really important. So thank you so much for the time, Mike. I really appreciate you coming on the show and just having a chat with me. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It was fun. Thanks. Appreciate you
All
having me.
right. Thanks.